Hey, welcome back to Another Look. I'm here with Twon Billings. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Doing all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so now again, let's talk about your company, your program. You have a Department of Collateral Damage.
That's right. That's right.
President, Chairman, CEO.
Yes, President, CEO.
What is that all about?
Well, the Department of Collateral Damage basically is an agency that revolves around anything that's revolved around collateral damage of community, such as suicide, such as reentry, such as crime prevention, such as anything that pretty much depreciate community.
Okay. So now, this is personal for you because you have your own story. Now, I know you're from Cleveland.
Yes, I'm born here in Cleveland.
Born here in Cleveland. However, you end up in L.A.
Yeah, I was born here in Cleveland, but I was back and forth from Los Angeles to Cleveland, and had some issues down there in Los Angeles where I was going through a lot of abuse as a child. And when I came up here in Cleveland, I started abusing.
Wow. And so you actually got in trouble here.
Yeah, I started getting in trouble at the age of 12 here in Cleveland, Ohio. I started the Crip gang here in Cleveland, and in 1983, I've been a Crip ever since 1978, and went inactive in 1991 when I lost my mother to breast cancer.
So you say you went inactive. So you're saying once you're a Crip or a Blood, you're in it for life?
Yes, you in it for life. Right.
Wow. So now how did they feel about you leaving or?
Well, it wasn't, my family was the ones that was dominating in the Bloods and the Crips. When we talked about that abuse issue, my family was Piru Bloods, and actually, what happened is that, I went down and stayed in Avalon Gardens, and when I stayed in Avalon Gardens, that's when pretty much I sided with Grape Street side of my family, and that's how it all started.
Okay. So now, you did some time.
13 years in prison.
Okay. And we believe, supposedly what the system says, you paid your time, you did what you were supposed to do, you served it, they let you go. Now what was the transition back?
Well, the transition was that when I came home, I actually wanted to sell cars. So, I had figured out that when I left the prison, I started a program in the prison system called Responsibility as a Man, a.k.a. known as RAM in Lake Erie Correctional Institution. It grew in 5 prisons in Ohio and went to 3 in Canada. So when I came home from prison, I just wanted to sell cars, but unfortunately, the Department of Rehabilitation and the Department of Youth Services called me back in and turned me into a contractor, and that opened up a floodgate for me.
So now you're out here now with your program, Department of Collateral Damage. You
actually my agency.
Oh, your agency, okay. You work with police departments, security forces at schools, college campuses, the police departments in various cities, and you are working with them with this whole how do we save or rebuild our community?
That's right. What we do as far as with police departments, we train them into suicide by cop. We train them in defensive tactics. We train them in ambush training. A lot of people don't understand this thing about what's the difference between a gang and a group. A lot of people is going to prison for something that they don't really know what a gang is and what, a gang is not. We train them into various of different things about like scenarios like, take for instance like abuse situation. A lot of officers is, going through that themselves, so, what happens is that they come to work and they bring that to work, and then as a result of that,
because they take it out on somebody they're dealing with, and a crime that could have been in a different way because they're going through some personal things.
That's right, judges and everybody else. So we also train in judges, mayors, city councils, vending companies, anybody that comes in the hood is at risk. So, we train in everybody in these type of tactics as well as car dealerships.
So not only are you working with these departments and programs to help people help others, but at the same time, this agency of yours is also helping the person, so it becomes personal at some point.
Yeah, actually, we got a operation that we're working on called Special Operations under the Department of Collateral Damage, where it's going to be police officers dealing with youth But these guys not going to work as police officers. They're going to be working as juvenile intervention specialists. So what that means is that instead of giving these kids criminal records, which that's what we're going back to, collateral damages as a community, you making people unemployable when you going out there giving them criminal records. So what we saying is that instead of giving them criminal records, hold them responsible for their action, make them clean up open lots, hold them accountable, mentor them, and things like that. So this is what we doing as far as the Special Operations Group.
Now, I know you also go out and you speak to young people in schools and community centers and rec centers and things of that nature, and you try to work with these young people. And what's the message there?
Well, the message is that basically, don't be like me. You know what I'm saying? Don't be like what I used to be. Be better than me. So when they hear it come from somebody, that walked the walk as far as being involved in gangs, somebody that did time in the prison, I'm able to give them the breakdown and understand what it is in the penitentiary and what it is as far as gang banging, the benefits and, things like that. When you talk to these children and you show them indictments like the United States of America versus little old you, or you get the state of Ohio versus little old you, and then when you break it down to them as far as the system and how it operates, and how you getting a criminal record has a life sentence, they don't know about these type of things. All they think about is that the instant gratification of, yes, I'm in the prison, I'm in this group, and I'm representing, but they're not understanding the life consequences that this happens to your life.
So then what kind of work do you even think about doing? Do you do work with like families to kind of share with them the importance of why it's important to embrace your family, so a young person, young man, young woman doesn't feel as though I have to find this false sense of love or hope from a gang as opposed to getting it at home?
Well, right now I'm working with a few agencies now, social service agencies, because I'm getting ready to start training them as well. I have trained children at family services and people like that. And I learned that in some of these agencies, a lot of these people, just because they got the degrees, they're going through the same things. Right. So it's like, let's take for instance a butt whooping. Your butt whooping compared to my butt whooping is different. You see what I'm saying? Right. So as a social worker, when you talk about 6 kids, and you and I both know it's no way you gonna come out of butt whooping without scars. Right. But then you may look at that as abuse. I may look at that, hey, that's the way a butt whooping's supposed to be. So, when you going in, you training these agencies and you working with the parents and you teaching parents about what an enabler is and what an enabler is not. Like my mother called the police on me. Some parents is not accepting what their children is doing. They smoking weed with their children. They laughing, kicking it with their children. They helping their children. They, a lot of these girls is developed now. So they helping their little kids get tattoos on their back. 14 years old with tattoos on them, sexual tattoos. And this is adding on to the problem of why these older guys is catching these sex cases, because these parents is making their children up to be out there like that. So when you're talking about parents,
be a kid, just go out and play.
Be a kid, don't give your child makeups, don't sacrifice and things like that. So when we training the parents, you got to start at the root. And, that's where we choose to want to start at, with the root. But then at the same time, a lot of these parents go through issues as well. So when they go through the issues, it trickles down to the child.
Okay. Wow. Man. So now, if someone wanted to reach out to you, okay, I want to get this young man to come talk to my youth group, or maybe we want a special training at our program, our job, our church, or something like that. How do they reach you?
It'll be 240. First of all, 216-240-0135. 216-240-0135.
Nice. Hey, welcome back to Another Look. I'm standing here next to two beautiful ladies, Niyala and Ninti. How y'all doing?
Hello.
That's all you got to say? Just say hello. Now, mind you all, she was doing all this talking. What? Come on, let's walk. So, ladies.
We'll walk it off.
Okay, so now tell me something about what you all do with the Department of Collateral Damage. Now, Twon kind of told me a little bit, but I want you all to tell it.
Well, basically, my name is Niyala. We are the program managers. I'm one of them. Mm-hmm. And what we do are things as far as child and parent identification cards. We do home-to-home surveys. Also, if the homeowner is, willing, we go in and detect places where, people could break in, and we offer, techniques and tricks and things for you to be able to have your home safety. The biggest thing is safety. Okay. Collateral damage, we want to make sure everything is safe, whether it's families, communities, anything like that.
Okay, so now, how long have you all been involved?
We've been involved for maybe, I would say, a couple months. But it started in 2007, and like she said, our main priority is safety.
Man, okay, good. So now, what even got you involved with wanting to be a part of this kind of program? I mean, did you go to school for it, or was something that you were just like, let's do it? Did you volunteer, or I don't know?
Well, my motivation was my personal experience. I have, an unruly child as a brother. So it's like, if I can't heal it in my home, I figure I can do it somewhere else by working with Twon or working with the Department of Collateral Damage and a lot of the other organizations.
So by working with the agency, has that helped you?
Yes. And I want to go beyond helping myself. I want to help others.
Oh, look at you. Okay, now what about you? How did you get involved?
Well, basically, I got involved through my mentor, Twon Billings in Stephen, Wyoming, and being a part of different organizations in CSU and Tri-C, I got contacted to them. And my main focus was, just children, teens, and everything like that, and safety. So when they brought this opportunity of what exactly the department was, we decided to, join and add our own flavor to it, add our own touch to be able to make, everything better as far as, teens and everything, make a voice, give everybody a voice.
So now, do you all go out in the community? I mean, I know you said you go out in the community to the homes, if they allow you to come in, you talk about the safety and those kind of concerns, but now do you also go like to community centers, rec centers, and do presentations as well?
That's actually what we're working on at the moment.
Exactly.
We're starting with churches, actually, and then we're going to go into the rec centers, the parks, the daycares. We're starting with young children first because that's where it all begins. So, yes, anything with kids. We're working on that, putting together presentations. That's what we do.
Right. You talked about, again, the parent-child identification. You're doing ID cards for I'm assuming the younger students. They can just make sure they know.
Not even necessarily just younger students, but younger students, teens, and also even if it's elders. Basically, the identification card is if something happens to a child, if something happens to, an elder, if anything happens and you can't identify a body, while somebody are looking for something, you can't identify the body, my child is missing. How do I know if this is my child or not? So basically, it's like we have these identification cards, you have fingerprints and everything on them to be able to understand, like, okay, well, this is my child, this is not my child. I can keep pushing, or I know where to go now.
Okay. So now, all right, now, here's the $1 million. Here's the $1 million question. I won't even tell them that we talked about this. What is it like working with Twon?
It is great.
It is.
He is hilarious.
Really?
Like he's really like an uncle figure to us. Like it's nothing. He calls us his queens, basically. Either we're his queens or his angels, and he can talk to us about anything. He protects us. He's made sure that no one takes advantage of us.
Right.
No.
I like the fact that even though he talked about it himself, about even though he may have had a troubled past, he made mistakes. He's willing to go out here and be very transparent and let anyone know, like, look, you don't have to live this kind of life. You don't have to do this.
But, speaking as Christians, it's more of an understanding thing. You go through a test to have that testimony. So we didn't turn him away. We weren't like, oh, you did this, you did that, because who am I? I'm still a sinner. I'm still a sinner, So it was more of I understand where you're coming from. And his biggest thing is that, I did this, I got taken advantage of, and all these things happen to me. That's not going to happen to you. And basically looking at us like we are his nieces, his daughters, and he, like I said, he's one of my mentors, molding us so that we don't have to go through the same things he did.
Wow, look at Ninti and Niyala here doing their thing. They're sisters right here, yeah, they sisters. As far as they get, they sisters. Y'all, thank you so much for just taking a little time to meet me down here in the park and on a beautiful day like today, and to talk about the program and some of the great things you all are doing in the community. I think is phenomenal. Now, again, if somebody wants to get involved, they heard about the program, they want to get involved, they want to volunteer, they want you to come speak, how can they reach you?
They could contact us at the collateral damage phone number is 240-0135, area code 216.
Cool. All right. So y'all heard it right here. We'll be right back with more of Another Look.